We are officially live on this beautiful Aloha Friday. I got to say, it's actually getting a little chilly over here in New Mexico. I know it's even more chilly out there in Utah, but we're staying warm with the Aloha vibe still.
That's right there, baby. See that? That's Hawaii. I wear that to keep me warm.
I love it. So I'm live on Instagram as well. So all of you guys on Instagram with me right now, just shift over. Link is in my bio. Shift over to Facebook. Join us here live on Aloha Friday, and we'll get things kicked off right now. All right.
Hey, I'm excited today. I tell you what, we've been pre-program talking to our guests, and I'm pumped. I'm really pumped about our guest today.
Cool. So let's get is that your gratitude? I mean, let's just get right into the gratitude.
Well, I'm grateful for our kick-ass beast guest today, U.S. Olympic, but more importantly, what she does for a sport, man, I just think it's awesome. You got to go for it, and her sport is a sport that there is no holding back. It's like things first, go down that chute, and rock.
there's no like breaks or anything with her sport. We're gonna get into that in a little bit, but I love it. Even John Jensen. Good Friday, gents. Aloha. What's going on? Daniels was watching on Instagram. Daniel, you got to come to Facebook now. That's where we're at. So my gratitude, and again, we share our gratitude before we start anything. And it's just a reminder, anybody watching, viewing with us today is start any day with gratitude, finish with gratitude. It's amazing when you are in appreciation and how you really just gravitate success, you gravitate great things to you. And if you're not appreciating, you're depreciating. So let's appreciate together. I'd love to even hear it in the comments, or just let us know. Are you grateful today? Just a yes or no, something like that, or just aloha. That's what it's all about. So I'm grateful. Actually, here for Aloha Friday, it's funny, when we first started this show, we were going to do it on a Wednesday. We had some technical difficulties that ended up pushing us back to Friday, and we weren't planning on calling it Aloha Friday. It just kind of came up that way. I think I was wearing an Aloha shirt that first day, and we were just like, you know what? I went to Hawaii. You lived in Hawaii for a little bit, and Aloha is just such a great feeling, a great vibe. That's what it's about. That's what TGIF is all about. But truly, you can live Aloha Friday any day. It's just a mentality. It's a mindset. So I'm grateful for that. Just,
the other thing it does, it bookends. I start the week with my Facebook Live and Game Ready. Get everyone to start the week strong. And then by ending the week with Aloha Friday, it's finishing the week strong. And, when we talk about mental performance or advancing in anything we do, it is about starting strong and then staying true to yourself and finishing strong. So we do it on a weekly basis now. And it's so much fun. This is a fun show. But it's very insightful because of the amazing guests that we've been blessed to have on the show.
Yeah, I mean, I get to learn something every time that we have a guest on. No pressure, Megan, but we're going to learn from you today.
Hey, Aaron Garcia, I see that. Extremely grateful. Love it, baby. Love it.
All right, Coach Dave, what's the tip of the day before we start this off?
All right, so staying with appreciation really is – I think the tip of the day for me is finding the blessing basically in struggle. A lot of times if we have struggle, we want to be something great and we're struggling, we kind of like go, oh, dang. No, you don't go, dang, because to get to greatness, it's the struggle that we can use that strengthens us. It gives us a strength. Anytime that I've been through struggle, anybody I've worked with, like with Megan, is an Olympic athlete, I'm sure, and any pro athlete that I've worked with, they have gone through struggle. But in the struggle, you learn, you either, give up or you rise up. And so if you look at a struggle and saying, oh, good, how am I advancing? How can I use this to my best? Then you're going to use it to your advantage every time. So that's your tip of the day.
I love it. And my wife chiming in. I'm grateful for Aloha Friday. And it's funny, they got the same name, and I had to make sure I changed it, in the phone. So when I called Megan Henry, I wasn't accidentally trying to call my wife or anything like that. So you guys share a great name. Margareta has joined us all the way from Sweden. Margareta is an absolute beast as well. Love it. Thanks for chiming in.
We're talking about being cold here where I'm in Utah, you're in New Mexico. Our guest is up in Connecticut, but Margaretta's been is from Falun, Sweden, which is the northern part of Sweden. So this time of year, it gets a little chilly there. Margaretta, if you can, put in the temperature there today.
Yeah, curious how cold it is. Maybe we just got to quit being babies. She's probably worse than us. So anyways, without further ado, let's get on to the Queek, which is the quote of the week. And that is a quote by Robert Fulghum. I believe that imagination is stronger than knowledge, that myth is more potent than history, that dreams are more powerful than facts, that hope always triumphs over experience, that laughter is the only cure for grief, and I believe that love is stronger than death. What a powerful, powerful Queek. I truly love that one. And, in regards to, that last part, love, stronger than death, one thing that's really hit home for us, especially lately, is the fires in California. And we just want to send out our love and our prayers. And if everybody watching right now, just send out some positive energy, send out some prayers, just to it. Cause that's truly where I grew up in Ventura County. And, so that's truly is home for me, even though I'm not there right now. I'm in Albuquerque. It's tough to see all the things going in flames. And it's like places that I know, and it's unbelievable.
And it's not just, it's amazing. It's not just, it started in Ventura, where you lived and grew up, but then it went to LA area, places where I lived and your mom and I lived. And then down in San Diego, where we all lived there for a while. It's just amazing. So yeah, I think what can we all do is send right now a wave of an ocean. Think of water, just to calm the fires and be with those that are in really a challenging situation right now.
Yeah. May the winds die down and the cool ocean breezes restore Southern California and end the wildfires. Amen. So our prayers will be felt out there. So again, as always, we always ask, if you enjoy the content we're delivering today and the guests that we get to bring on and really the awesome, topic that we're going to be talking about today, we would just love if you could go and share this video right now, but really comment, engage with us. We already got a lot of people jumping in and, Paul Lechuga. Hey, Shane. Hey, coach. What's going on, Paul? We love when people can engage with us just like this. Aaron, they're telling us that they're safe. Winds have calmed down because they were showing us yesterday some clouds.
Oh my gosh.
Or not clouds, but smoke. So they're really close to it in Vista, California. So, if you're near any of the fires, comment to us. We'll send you prayers. But as we go on, if you have questions, anything like that, feel free, put it in the chat, comment with us, and we'll be sure to,
Also want to just give a shout out to Aaron and Veronica. You see the Aaron Garcia there. Just click on that at the end of the show too. I was on their Be Live yesterday, and they are awesome. So take advantage of it. You got the wisdom that comes out of them is terrific. I really enjoyed being on their show yesterday.
So let's get to our guests, but the idea of we're in our final 3 episodes of the year, and we're calling it season 1 of Aloha Friday. And we decided to just go with the same theme for the next 3 episodes, which is pretty cool. It's something that we've been really diving into a lot lately and researching but it's the concept of the evolution of high performance. So we're going to get our guest take on that and just some great insight from, an Olympic mindset on that type of high performance. Cause I don't know if it gets any, higher performing than, on the Olympic stage or the Olympic trials or just the national team. So it's going to be some amazing content we talk about today, but we're going to finish up, with the 3-part series. We'll go on Christmas break and all that stuff. We'll come back in the new year. But we want to finish strong and really, my thoughts and my idea on the evolution of high performance. Everybody's looking for, another way to perform higher, whether it's in business, whether it's in sports, whatever that is. But in regards to sports, what was that next edge? Like they first discovered, it's like, okay, you strength train in the weight room and then your performance goes up and then research went into that. And then, all sorts of experts and professionals are in the strength training industry. And then, it was like, then they found out, okay, nutrition actually plays an effect on your results. So let's put in a lot of research to that. Let's see what your diet does. And obviously there's some great effects from your nutrition and your diet. And then, recovery. Oh, recovery is the next thing. And now there's physical therapists, there's all sorts of research going into recovery and how that helps the body perform better on competition day. And then that next step, and the professional athletes and the top performers, they already know this. It's like, okay, what's the next advantage? And we truly believe it's the mindset. It's the mental performance, and it's the mental training, because you got to train it just like you train a muscle. And I truly believe we're right on the cusp of it. I know a lot of the professional athletes already understand this power and this gift, but I don't know if the awareness is out to the masses yet. And I think that it's just about clicking with some people, and there's going to be some amazing results in these next few years. So that's really the idea behind it, which is really exciting.
And now I know you're going to introduce our guest, but I want to say, yeah, she's an Olympic athlete and U.S. team member. But if you're not an Olympic athlete, if you're just, when I say just, there's no just, you're running your business. This applies to everything. You're about to get on a sled. A skeleton run is with you face first going down. I can't wait to hear some of the speeds that she's hit. We face that in business too sometimes, or it seems like we face that. So apply what you hear in this to your life today.
Yep. Yeah. I love it. And then, so let's talk about our guest already. Let's bring her in. But first, I just want to give a little background and highlights on her. But she started off D1 field hockey and track at American University in DC. And then she enlisted in the Army after graduation. And she was an athlete of the Army, and they recruited her to bobsled a year later, but she actually switched over to skeletons. Now, if nobody knows, or if you guys aren't familiar with skeleton, if you've heard of luge is the feet first down that icy track. Skeleton's head first. Let me show you guys just a picture. This is Megan right here going head first down an icy track, which we're going to get on the track with her one of these days.
Inspired us in New York City to do it. I don't know. We'll have to see. Do we have the guts to do it?
Let's see. There she is in her U.S. colors. She's a 4-time USA skeleton national team member, and multiple national push champion. That's really her strength is how fast she can push off the start. She's number 1 in the U.S. and she's actually one of the top 6 pushers in the world. So she is an absolute beast. So let's bring her in already. Megan, I hope you're ready for us. Dave can be sometimes tough to handle, but let's bring you in. Hey, there she is.
Hi, thank you. Thanks for the intro.
How are you doing today? How are you feeling?
I'm awesome. Thank you. I'm very excited to be here. I'm really excited that I get to sport this leg because I can't. Yes. I don't think I've had many opportunities to wear it, so thank you.
That's the beautiful part of the show is our guest always finds just random Aloha gear that they probably have only used once in their life, and now you get another excuse to use it. So
exactly,
we appreciate that. So where are you today in your training?
So I actually I haven't competed in like 3 or 4 weeks, which is kind of unusual in season. So this past week I was training in Lake Placid, just kind of a down week, which was pretty cool because there was no pressure. I've been working on breaking some bad habits, focusing on the process, which we'll talk about today. And so that I was grateful for that. I'll give you my gratitude right now too.
Yes.
I was grateful to kind of have a week where there was no pressure and so where I could focus on that and have fun doing that. And so I'm done for a little bit. I have a week break. There's going to be a Luge World Cup, so there's no sliding for me. So I have a week to kind of focus on just physical training and mental training and get back to sliding again.
Nice. Love it. So in regards to our theme for the next 3 episodes, the evolution of high performance, I'll just put it down there on the screen so people can see it. Oh, shoot. I pressed the wrong button. Hold on. Let me bring you back into the sorry.
Yet.
Welcome back.
Bounce her around. Just take her just off the side of the wall. But she's in control. She's back on. She could win it all.
Okay. You're back on track. So just in your own career, in your own personal journey, and your own evolution with the sport, just give me a little idea. Obviously, it's important to have, what I talked about, the strength training, the nutrition, the recovery. But, everybody is at a high level in the, trying out for the Olympics and trying to make it. What is it for you? What is your evolution like?
Well, I remember when I first started getting into skeleton, and like you said, everybody's at a high level. Everyone's at their physical peak and everything else. And so trying to find that edge was, and that, I started skeleton 6 or 7 years ago. And that was when like sports psychology was just kind of becoming a thing. And that was where I was like, okay, I really should get into this, but I don't really know how. And because everyone has that, everybody's like peaked in terms of their, like you said, physical nutrition, sleep. And so you're trying to find like a little gray area that no one's found. And so for me, it had to be mental. And that just part of that, do you want me to go into the process part?
Yeah, go into it.
So
yeah,
for me, in the beginning, when I first was doing skeleton and competing, it was very results oriented. I mean, at any level, it's really results oriented, same in business and everything else. And the more I focused on, I need to win and I need to get this result and perform in this way, the worse I was performing. I became very mechanical and very robotic. And it seems like it's a given, that you need to focus on the process, but that was a very difficult transition. And finding people to give you that kind of guidance was pretty difficult then too. And so it's taken like years, and luckily, I've been able to work with you, Shane, to find the process that works. And we've said before, a goal without a plan is just a wish. And if you're trying to get an outcome and you have no process to get there or a system to get there, it's not going to happen.
I love that. And I'm going to put that title up here. And Dave, you can talk about it, but just that idea of outcome versus process, which you're talking about, which is so beautiful.
You're also talking about a system. I think that's the one thing that most, even with the athletes I've worked with, and I'm talking about, NFL, Major League Baseball, Olympic athletes that I've had the privilege to work with, a lot of times they don't understand there's a system to the mental performance side of things. And it takes a while, just like training. But before I go further into that, I got to ask you, what's the fastest speed? Now, not your time, but the fastest you can clock it going. It's just mind-boggling to me thinking of you just flying down. What's the fastest speed you've gone?
I've done 80. I might have done 82. I've definitely hit 138 kilometers per hour. So I don't know exactly what that is for miles per hour.
Fast.
It's pretty fast.
Now, imagine that. You're on your belly, face first. It's one thing to go 85 miles an hour in a car, but try laying down. Oh, my God. And then maintaining control. You better have a brake system in place.
Jeez. Now, do you know Brian Bogus? Is that a
Hi. I saw him. I saw him right at 3:13. Yeah, that's so funny. I went to basic training with Brian. Hi, Brian.
Love it. I love this idea of just the process versus outcome, and it's something that we've been working on because it is so easy to get caught up in the results because it's the society we live in is very results oriented, and it's you don't succeed, you don't get these results, then you're a failure or whatever.
So, but Shane, will you do me a favor? I'm going to cut in on you. Can you read that sign behind you?
Right here. Life is about the journey, not the destination.
Oh, maybe that kind of goes along with this.
Maybe. It is, though. It is about putting yourself in the right state of mind so that you can get those consistent results. The results take care of themselves when you get into the process of getting your right state of mind. I'm a true believer in that. I've seen the success of that. We used to, set goals before games, and then we've realized it's so much better to set intentions before games, and intentions are something you can always control. The goals and the results, sometimes there's things out of your control, out of your that you can't factor in. And that's why I never make guarantees like, hey, we guarantee a win. Cause I'm like, you know what? I feel confident going into it, but you just never know. There's always something that could go wrong. But as long as I'm staying true to my process, I'm staying true to the state of being that I want to be in that game, then that's a victory for me because I'm putting myself in the right state. So I love that.
It all comes and when I want to hear more from you, but I want to say it also comes back to what my tip of the day was. With the right mindset, when you go through something what we call struggle, you look at it differently, and then you become stronger because of it. And if you constantly do that, that is how you become a true champion in my book.
Yeah. And I want to get into our next topic, because we got a ton of topics to get through. And we're like, when we're going through the agenda edit, like this could be a 4-hour show. So let's just get into the next one. And, talking about pressure and expectations. Obviously, you're in a very high pressure sport where everything's very heavily scrutinized, and you got some coaches that, they have some expectations and stuff, all that. So how do you deal with that? How do you cope?
It kind of goes back to using the process, and what works for me may not work for someone else. But for me, recognizing that the pressure is there, you can't be so focused on the outcome that you forget what you're doing. And it kind of reminds me of a watch pot never boils. If you're constantly focused on the outcome, you're not focusing on what it is that you need to be doing in the present moment. And so for me, I think that, with pressure and expectations, you can't deny that it's there. I think sometimes people are like, oh, well, I'll just pretend that it's not there. That used to be a trick when I first got into sports, oh, well, just act like it's practice. Well, that's not realistic. The pressure is there, and it's not a bad thing. I think Shane and I definitely talked about this. It's something that can actually help you to perform better. And I think that you have to love yourself and your sport or your business or whatever it is enough to put the outcome in the background. And that goal for sure is there, and it doesn't go away. But I think you have to acknowledge it is really what I'm saying. And, this is so important to me, but I remember at one point, and sorry, I'm talking in circles, Shane and I talked about being a caveman and dumbing it down so much that you keep it simple, that the mind is free and less cluttered, and just having laser focus on one thing that matters, and eliminate everything else. I think that, trying to deny that the pressure is there is not necessarily a good thing, because that can be nerves, and fear can be really, really good. You can unlock, a lot of potential. Talked about core is one of the beast triggers that we talked about, which is courage, short for courage, the lion. And if you kind of embrace the fear and the nerves, we said the lion doesn't show up and has no fear. They just show up, and their presence is enough. And the fear isn't there the fear doesn't take over, the courage does. Yeah. So hopefully I addressed what you're asking.
Wait a minute, hold on, write that down. The fear doesn't show up, the courage does.
I love that. If somebody can type that in the comments, I have too many things going on my screen. I would love to.
Really somebody. So you want to embrace nerves and fear. It's not necessarily a negative thing. You don't want to avoid it and pretend it's not there. So for me, I always kind of go into a competition. I'm like, this is the situation. These are who I'm competing against. This was the problems I was having in training. And, these are my intentions, and this is how I'm going to overcome it. So I acknowledge all of that, but I focus on, again, I go back to focusing on the process and focusing on what are my intentions? How do I want to perform? And that is kind of what helps me overcome the pressure and the expectations.
I love it. Courtney, USA. Yes. There it is. You got the queek. Maybe you're going to be the quote of the week. The fear doesn't show up, the courage does. Meg Henry. Have you ever been quoted like that before? That's pretty cool. No. One thing I want to point out that I love that you brought up was our caveman talk, and that's why I truly love working with athletes like you, where we can get into these discussions where it's not like, I can just go and inspiration comes. That was literally, I didn't have that planned or anything like that. It was just came through a discussion we were having. And there was think of a caveman, all they got to figure out, they just got to worry about, the saber tooth, if they're going to, eat them today. So they're always on the alert for that. And today's day and age, the saber tooth might be something else. It might be that pressure, that expectations. It might be, the negative media that we see out there and what people think about me and all that stuff. But the caveman, he wasn't worried about the little details. Did I do this right? Did I get first place? Did I get second? He's like, no, I freaking survived today. I won. I won because I'm alive today. I got away from the saber tooth. So we just simplified everything, and that pressure was just be a freaking caveman and go with that kind of that naive innocence. And that was a really cool talk. So I'm glad that you brought that in. And I got to say, we got the math. We got the statistics there. 138 kilometers is 85.7492 miles per hour. That is freaking flying, or at least close to it. In regards to that, let's talk about like what ifs. Dave's Facebook Live earlier on Monday was talking about reframing what ifs. But say, you're going at that type of speed, and you're like, what if I crash at this speed? What if I don't get first place? What if all these negatives come up with what ifs? What is your take on what ifs?
Well, they definitely happen, and it's easy to let the mind go that way. The mind will do that by itself. And so what's important for all of the things we've talked about so far is that all of this requires a lot of self-discipline and practice. And that's where the edge comes from at a high level, whether in business or in sport. And so I don't necessarily, I'm trying to think, like, do I reframe it while I'm sliding, like, head first?
Do you ever have what ifs? Let me just ask that. Do you ever feel like what ifs? Like, oh, what if? And then the doubt starts to creep in. Do you ever get a doubt?
Especially, I know talking with you, I had a couple of curves that were really, really difficult. I almost lost my sled in some curves. And, what if that happens again? What if I do that again? And I had to, again, I hate to be repetitive, but I had to go back to what is my intention here? Go back to the process, because you're not going to, be doubt free. It's right. Not going to happen. And right. So I don't know. I'm trying to think of how do I reframe it? I don't necessarily reframe it. I just refocus. I don't, like Dave reframes the statement. For me, I just put the focus on where it needs to be.
What you just did is explained it. That's how you reframe it, is you refocus. That's the answer. Awesome. No, I don't reframe it. I just refocus. Oh, wait a minute. That's how you do it. You focus in on that, I love the song. It's a big country hit right now. What if? I love it.
Oh, I love it too. Kane Brown.
Yeah. What if I hurt you? What if I let you down? What if this? But what if we were made for each other? And if you think of that every time you go into what if I just kick ass and win this and have the best? You just shift it in a moment. You refocus into that. Got it. And that's the power of shifting. But you said it. You refocus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that's it. She's getting quotes, and I don't know if she knows this, but she's developing quotes throughout this broadcast. Is reframe what ifs with refocus. I mean, that's just another one. I don't know if you're just trying to do it, but it's brilliant, some of the things that are coming out. So keep it up, keep going. I love it. So one thing, we've talked about heavily is talking about, constant improvement. That's the thing that's tough when you're basically at the highest level. You're competing against the highest of levels. Again, trying to find that edge that you're talking about. We had a kind of a theme. It was just focus on getting 1% better each day. It's you don't have to get miles past anybody, but today, what's 1% that I can do better? And that's, physically, mentally, all that stuff. How do you feel like that was a good benefactor in lately for you?
It was huge. And, it's like I said, it's easy to get caught up in the pressure and the expectations and the what ifs, the possibility of failure. And all of this, again, requires self-discipline and practice. And to be able to say, I did my absolute best despite all of these external factors, or the competitors, or my coaches, or, the equipment, or the weather, there's all these other things. Right. It's huge. It's huge when there's so many aspects. The physical training, technique. For me, there's sports equipment. Like I said, there's weather. The journey it's continuous, and to be, you're constantly evolving and growing. And I like that the title of it is the evolution, because it implies that it's a continual thing. And I know we've quoted Aristotle before, but we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit. And for me, this season has been a lot of breaking old habits and creating new ones. And it's been so hard and challenging. So for me to be able to say I did get 1% better because I was able to focus solely on this one thing, it's massive, because it kind of goes back to the gratitude and focusing on the wins, which I'll talk about when you ask me in Final Four. But you have to be able to recognize that, because otherwise it's really easy just with, coaches and peers and everything to get lost in the negatives. So to be able to focus and find those wins and know that you got 1% better is huge.
I love that, because even when we would talk and you had an off day where you weren't sliding or something like that, it's like, well, how do I get 1% better if I'm not physically on the track? You were finding ways where you'd go and visualize the track. You'd take old tape and watch it. I mean, you can find a way to get 1% better in any area, any aspect, and this doesn't just go for sports.
Even if it's recovery, like that's big too.
Right. All part of the evolution, and you're evolving daily. Well, that's what it's about.
And I'm going to give you a kudos for a moment. Shane's been living this principle. When he was at University of Hawaii as a quarterback, he, wasn't always the starter. But what he did, he would get better by focusing on what he'd be doing and seeing the defense. And then many times, the guy that was starting over him got hurt. And people didn't understand, because Shane would come in and do better than the starter. Normally when a back comes in, everything kind of goes down. Instead, it always went up, because Shane was always getting better every day, whether on the field or off the field. And so and that's where this whole concept of you can keep getting better no matter what came about. And if you have the focus on it, you're going to keep getting better. Even when you're a day that you're off, you can get better and maybe even multiply it.
Mm-hmm.
And I gotta say, it was another cool thing that we kind of developed in our working together is, you're a big fan of Conor McGregor. He, your top favorite athlete. And we talked about his, and actually you shared it first on Instagram, and I stole it because it was a great tweak.
I then stole it.
Yeah, I don't know which way to point. You've stolen it plenty of times as well, because it's all about getting 1% better. I don't, what is it? I never fail. I either win or I learn. So even when you fail or it's an off day or whatever, if you learn something from that, you just got 1% better. So it doesn't have to be a negative. Failure doesn't have to be a negative. And I love that. We went with that theme for a while. You even had the Conor McGregor shirt underneath your outfit. It was awesome. I love it. So why don't we just get into the Final Four then? We ready to rock and roll with that?
So, Megan, who would you say, as you were coming up in any part of your life, that you really admired and had a big influence on you, big influence on where you are today?
I think a lot of people say this, but I would have to say definitely my parents. They pushed me to excel my entire life. My dad owns his own company with one other guy, and they work physical hard work. He does painting, power washing, industrial cleaning, and you'd never know that he has a master's degree in like plant pathology or something. I don't know. And he worked tirelessly on a thesis that's probably here that he did on a typewriter and like hand graphed it and bound it by leather. And like, he also took a course in rocket science at one point, and he decided he wanted to work for himself. And he might have made more money elsewhere, but he worked efficiently and effectively, came home when he was done, and he would cook and put dinner on the table for my brother and I. My dad's from Louisiana, so maybe he's just a little better cook than my mom. Talking to Mom if you're watching. And he also played football at LSU, and he's in the Hall of Fame at McNeese State for track and field after he got a career-ending injury at LSU for football. And I definitely get my athleticism from him, and he's shown me that, especially after his injury, you can be down but not out. And he kind of found like this is supposed to be something that's career ending for me, but how can I still utilize this or change it and find take this perceived limitation and turn it into something else. And as for my mom is an awesome dominant female. She's shown me that being an outspoken female is powerful. She's the first selectman, which is the kind of the same thing as the mayor of the town that I live in for maybe more than 20 years now. And she's firm, she's fair. She was asked to run for lieutenant governor, and she's one of those people who's like the first in the office and she's the last one to leave. She goes to every meeting. She recognizes people. She's, made a really good community out of the town we live in. And she's also a volunteer EMT, and she has an associate's degree. She might not like that I said that, but it just goes to show you that you're not limited by a piece of paper or a documentation that says something about you. Just because my dad has this crazy master's degree and my mom has this associate's degree, what they do doesn't necessarily correspond with their education. And that goes to one of the Beast principles that we've talked about is NOBO. There's no boundaries. And my parents have shown me that nothing beats hard work, and I'm grateful that they instilled that in me, because on paper, I was not always the greatest for many things. My height and my weight, I was born 2 months premature, but my work ethic is unmatched, and I definitely get that from them.
Oh man, I love it. Our last guest, we talked about Nobo. Nobo seems to be a reoccurring theme. And Nobo is just like you. It's for me too. I mean, I was always still short for my sport, according, and that's boxed in because it's like, oh, you got to be tall to play quarterback. Oh, for you, maybe you got to weigh a certain weight to get more speed down the track and all this stuff. But it's like, okay, well, what are our strengths? What? No box, no boundaries. Let's find the potential in that. I could be, for me, I could be quicker. I could be more agile with my height, and I really train that, and that's been my biggest advantage. For you, your starts. I mean, you're the best, number one starter in U.S. and globally, you're just on another level. It's just amazing. So it's like focus on those strengths. Yeah, we can build up our weaknesses and all that, but when it comes down to game time, if you're focusing on your weaknesses, well, then that's probably what's going to show up as your weaknesses. But if you focus on those strengths and you're in Nobo land, as we say, no box, no boundaries, sky's the limit. So I love that you brought that up. So question 2, what's one thing you'd tell your younger self?
This is a good one. I would tell myself that your mind is really powerful. And what you say to yourself, determines everything. I would reiterate, focusing on the wins and gratitude and positivity. I think, Shane, you kind of said this, our attitude towards life determines life's attitude towards us. And I was...
Wait a minute. Is that another quote?
Yeah, because I didn't say that. That was Megan.
Well, you said something along those lines before.
I know, it's perfect, but that just came out, and I love it. Kathy Lynn has been taking these down. Please, Kathy, keep doing that. We just got what I call a zone zinger.
I like that.
He's in the zone.
I was fairly negative when I was younger, and I kind of would say that I was a perfectionist a little bit. I didn't want to fail. And so if I wasn't good at something or I'd never done it before, I didn't want to do it because I didn't want to be bad, or I'd focus on how bad I did and, or that I didn't do it right the first time. And that's like such a heavy way to go through life, especially as like a kid or someone in high school. It's just unnecessary pressure that didn't serve me. And I'm surprised at how well I have done. And that I did believe in myself and I have competed at high levels. But because of that, I kind of was boxed in a little bit. I danced and I played field hockey and I did track, but I never really did like the typical sports you do when you're young. Like I never played soccer. I never played basketball. I didn't play tennis. And there were like certain things that I did believe in that I could do. Like sprinting fast was one of them. And so like, my brother played football when we were really young. So when he had Pop Warner practice, I remember going and sprinting alongside the boys because I knew that I was fast. And so I was like, okay, I trust that I'm fast so I can perform and do that. So I guess I would tell my younger self that it's okay to fail. And this did, I will say, although it was negative, it did serve me because I have always sought out people to help me become better. So that's kind of a good thing, but no one is automatically great at something when they first start, and you can't compare your beginning to someone else's middle. And that was hard for me when I first started skeleton. It's still hard, but I think people are so wrapped up in their own stuff that they don't notice your mistakes as much as you think they do. And you're not under a magnifying glass, even though it might seem that way. I'll talk about another beast principle. Enjoy the moment, because we have so few of them.
Yes, absolutely. Before you say the next question, Dave, I just got to say there's so many good points in there that I want to just touch on real quick. Is one, you know, you don't just start off great, except for maybe Gary here. I get everything right the first time. I can teach you.
He's a Leo, so.
What were you saying about not realizing what you don't know when you start and you think you do?
But the thing I wanted to say is, what's the worst enemy of great is good, because when you settle with good, you're never going to go seek that, that help, or you're going to be like, oh, I'm good enough, but because of those failures, like I need to overcome them. I need some support. I need a coach in all different areas, recovery, my training, my sliding, my mental mindset, all these different things is helping, to reach that greatness. And again, it's an evolution. We're always growing towards that greatness. We're always going 1%. But the other thing you brought up was being a perfectionist. And it's something we've talked about before in our coaching calls. But just for everybody out there, think of it. Nobody's perfect, right? So a perfectionist will always fail. Yes, embrace the failure and all that stuff. But if you're always a perfectionist, you're always, even if you do well, you do really well, but there's like, oh, but there was this and then this and this. And you start dissecting every little thing, it's like we're always going to feel like a failure, and it's going to be kind of hard to overcome that. So again, be a caveman, let go of the perfectionism, and just get back to the simplicity, like you said, just the wins. Like, okay, what went right? Let's reframe our focus back into the positive things that went well. So, all right, Dave, I can get off my soapbox.
All really, really good stuff. And so my next question for you is more of a personal one. Off the ice, so to speak, the runs, what do you like to do? What's something that maybe someone out there that might, I see there's some people who know you were on today. What's something maybe they do know, but I know a lot of us, I don't know what you like to do. What's
funny, Dave, your questions are getting longer and longer each week. The same question. I don't know.
I know. What do you like to do off the ice?
I always I travel a lot for my sport, so I'm always going. So I like relaxing, and I like being warm because I'm cold a lot. So I like going to the beach. I like going to movies and stuff, but I always like trying new things. I still am an adrenaline junkie. I like skydiving. I like going to amusement parks, but I don't know. I've always tried to like branch out and try new things. I actually made Gary Germain go with me to get a Korean body scrub because I just like trying new things. Yeah, I guess that's it. I like going to concerts and hang with the G Train. I also like meditating. Also, I don't know if that's really a hobby, but I do like doing that. I do that every day.
That's great. I love it. What do you? I just started Headspace, that app. That do you use that at all?
I did. I used it for almost 300 days straight, and which is awesome. And then I just transitioned to another app. It's actually called Heart Math. And you put this thing on your ear. It gives you like biofeedback. So you can tell when you're not in like a state of gratitude or calm or present. It like shows your heart rate variability.
Oh,
and
wow.
It shows like when you're in and out of that. So, and you can change like the difficulty of the levels. So I just started doing that, which is pretty cool. And I try and do it like 5 minutes a day, 3 times a day, and like 15 minutes once or twice a week. So pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. It's cool where science is, going to these days. Like we can actually track that stuff. And, we and Dave talk about it. It's amazing. Dave's been doing this for 20 years in the mental performance. And we're realizing it's like, okay, science is now just catching up to like what we've already known just through trial and error and through actually living it and doing it. Cause I'm a professional athlete as well. I go and live these principles. I don't just teach them. I'm walking them. And so I know like what works, what doesn't just from doing it. but it's like now the science is catching up, so we can back it with real scientific evidence, which is really cool. It's amazing the things that are.
I always joke, you might not know this, when I was playing on the pro tennis tour, I say now, God, I wish I had me when I was playing. They go, why aren't you? No, but I didn't know then what I know now, what I've been able to give to so many athletes. I mean, for me, 8 years after I retired, I got asked to go play a tennis tournament. Now, I'm not going to be in the prime of when I was playing, right? But a sponsor flew us in. Well, I won the doubles tournament and beat the #1 team in the world.
Wow.
And how does that happen? It's because now I mentally have learned how to train where I didn't know back then.
Well,
my dad said, just in terms, training, the physical training has completely evolved too. And my dad's always like, oh, I would have been so good if I had all the stuff that you do. Cause I have coaches for this and like physical coaches. He's like, you have all these coaches and I would have been so awesome if I had these resources or knew about this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, well, times are different.
Well, that's the coolest thing about, our topic is the evolution of high performance. Is like, there's like, what's the next thing? There's always the next thing. And it's so competitive now. It's like, how do you separate yourself? Like you're saying, but there's so many resources now. And now people are starting to realize, oh, there's something going on up here. Maybe this really is our greatest asset is right here. Obviously, you need all of it. You need the recovery. You need the strength training. You need it just to be at even level with everybody. But then that mental side is what takes you to another level.
So before you go to the fourth question, I just want to say one thing, because you talked about it and your dad said, man, if I had all those coaches. And I look at even with Shane, he had a quarterback coach and we paid a lot of money to, but it was worth it.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then he had me, the mental coach, he had all the things. So now he's playing professional. But if you think of all the athletes that really achieve and go to the world championship level, they all have coaches. Yet there's people in business, they just don't understand it. They go, I don't need a coach. What do I need a coach for? And yet the highest achievement out there, though, those that are having the greatest results have coaches, because your coach is outside your business, your picture frame. They can see things that you can't. And to have that share, and I would think another aspect of it is the release. I know when I play matches and I just better. If I had someone to at least express it, see how I could make it better, I could have learned more from my losses. I could have taken more and gathered in, which now I do for other athletes. But that's the aspect. But in business, it's no different. If you have someone who's
I agree with you there. I think that especially the higher that you get at, like the higher level you get at, whether that's in sports or in business, if you're at a point where you think you don't need a coach, you really do. And I think in business too, the more successful you get, it seems like the more people you need. You need to kind of branch out and you get more people involved in helping you. And that's in sports too. I found that just in skeleton, when I first started, I was like, okay, well, I have a trainer and he's helping me get better. And then it evolved to, okay, I'm reaching out to this person. I'm going to focus on, it just branches out into a whole bunch of different things. But the same is absolutely true in business. Yeah.
Well, you're either getting better or you're getting worse. And if you're not seeking that outside help, you can always get 1%, like we talked about. You can always grow and grow and grow. And a lot of times, Dave couldn't be his own coach. I had him as a coach, but even though I coach this stuff and I understand it, he still gives me game readies before my games. Even when I'm in China, we'll figure it out so that way I'm still getting that outside source and from outside my frame. And
I'll come back at you. I had a really important business meeting the other day. Guess what I did? I called Shane and said, Shane, give me a game ready. I'm going to. See, it works in every aspect.
I love it. So let's go into number 4 is, what is the biggest life lesson you've learned through your sport and your journey?
This one is so hard to pick just one. Man, especially what we just talked about, it makes me think of some other things. I guess I would reiterate what I would tell my younger self, that, your mistakes are life lessons. If you don't learn it the first time, chances are you're going to experience that mistake over and over again with a higher degree of risk and reward until you've learned it. So your perceived mistakes are definitely an opportunity for learning if you're looking for it. So that's what I would kind of recommend to other people too, that when you make the mistakes, you have to kind of dig in and be like, okay, why did this happen to me? There's a reason for it. And because of that, I think I've learned to judge others a little less critically and maybe give second chances. And above all, to love myself and invest in myself and in self-growth and development, like we said. So my other big lesson would be to invest in yourself, and don't be afraid of that, because you are the most important person in your life. If you don't love yourself and believe in yourself and invest in yourself, you can't expect others to do the same. And as we know, Conor McGregor says, you either win or you learn.
And let's see, someone down here said it. Let me see who said it. Yeah, Gary said it. You win or you learn. And Aaron and Veronica, I know she's probably with them too. If you're not failing, you're not growing. No, I love it. And the thing that really struck me is when we were in Colorado Springs, and that's where we first met you, is we were both on the stage talking to all of you guys and the athletes and giving up some of the principles. And as soon as we were done, you came right up to us and you were like, hey, I need to talk to you guys. Like you knew you were, and it was awesome. And like, just that, like, there's certain people that you just know, like even just first meeting them, it's like, okay, this person's got it. Either they got it or they want to have it, and they know the steps they need to take, and they know that they need to keep pushing and getting 1% better, and they want to find that way. And then you went out and you found me, and then we started working together. And that's the mark of a true champion, is the one that's willing to grow and to learn from others. And it's not like our society tells us it's build yourself up by your bootstraps and you got to do it all by yourself, me kind of thing. But it's that, okay, no, I need to reach out, and I want to grow, and I want to accelerate my path to do that. There's no shortcuts to success, but there's definitely more efficient ways to do it. We'll just put it that way.
And I just want to ditto that, Megan. The way you came up to us after we talked to the team and everybody, both Shane and I goes, we just liked you instantly. Your enthusiasm was just bubbling, and it's like, I was ready to go. At that moment, I was ready to go down any if you said, go get on a skeleton right now. And that kind of energy is contagious, and I love it. And I've never met Gary. You call him G-Train?
He calls himself that.
Oh, okay. He calls himself. Well, you know what? The guy's out there. I don't know Gary, but I'm loving his just being here with us, contributing.
Oh, there we go.
He's making fun of me there. Oh, beast mode. Hi, Justin Lincoln. He's making fun of me there because he said that I'm number 5 for life, because I've been 5th in the country for 2 years now. This is the second year I've been 5th. And so I kind of talked about that with Shane, how it feels like I'm being stagnant. And if you're focusing on like the results and the outcome, how hard that is, and the expectations, especially during an Olympic year. But this is actually, I kind of stated this before, I have been breaking some old habits and creating new ones. And so it seems like, and like Dave said before, it seems like you might be stagnant or you have a setback, but I know that it actually is a good thing. It seems like it, and it can be frustrating in the moment, but it ties in everything we talked about in this conversation before.
And I'm gonna
you want to go first?
One thing is I mentioned, struggle. You might not know this, but a butterfly, when it's becoming a butterfly, they have to struggle and struggle to get out of the cocoon or chrysalis. But that struggle gets their wings stronger and stronger. So when they finally break free, they're stronger because of it. So you are getting stronger with this, and it will come to be realized. 5th might seem like the same, but it's not. We had a dart contest, last week, and I remember one of the gals throwing. It was the same score, but it was far better. And so if she had done it one more time, the score would have reflected it too. That's why everything we said, it's about the journey. It's about who we're becoming. Who are we in the process?
And I want to say that, habits take time to, they can take time to develop and to get yourself into that consistent state. And would you say, the difference between being fifth the first time and being fifth this time, you think it was the exact same, or do you think you were in a whole different state, different energy?
No, and I told people, if you last year, this is how I knew I needed to work on the mental part. Last year, I went into team trials and I was practicing in the top 2 or 3, which was awesome. And I was like, I'm going to win. I'm going to win when we race tomorrow. And so all I was thinking about is how I have to win. I have to win. And I was so outcome focused that I was not focusing on the process whatsoever. My first race in team trials last year, I was outside of the top 10. Didn't set me up for a good chance to make the national team, but I had to fight tooth and nail to make the national team and get 5th last year. And this year, I was way more focused on the process. I was so composed. I opened the team trials, Olympic trials, with 2 4th place finishes. So I was like in a comfortable range of being in the top 2 and 3 compared to being outside of the top 10. So this earning the 5th place spot this year was drastically different just in terms of how mentally composed I was and comfortable and confident in that. Whereas last year I was like, I have to do this. It was a desperation and absolutely focusing on outcomes. So they were completely different.
Yeah, and just I remember one of them, you talked about how you on one turn like basically fell off the sled, almost decapitated yourself, and then still had to go and do the run again, the same thing. I mean, just the mental fortitude to be able to recover and then improve your time the next time up. I mean, that's
and I think in the past, if something like that would have happened, like crazy things can happen during skeleton or bobsled or luge runs, and to be able to go back to the top and put that run away and be like, okay, that one doesn't matter, and we have to focus on it has no bearing on how this next run goes. That's really, really hard, especially when you do something like what I did. I mean, I almost lost my sled there. And so that takes a lot of self-discipline, a lot of mental toughness, because it's all scary. Like, that's pretty scary too, to be in like a situation where you almost lose your sled. And that was probably the most proud of myself that I've been, to be able to stay so composed in that situation and come back and then earn the 4th place spot again. It was huge.
Talk about courage. The line that was the line right there.
Core and last, you know those. A lot of these on here don't know those, but you know what they mean.
So if people want to just stay in this energy of Meg Henry and they want to follow your career and join, I know we got some followers on here, but new followers, new people that want to just enjoy the journey with you, where can people find you?
So you can find me on Instagram at the Savage Meglet. You can follow me on Facebook.com/Megan Henry Athlete, or on Twitter, Megan Henry USA.
Did I spell that right?
Yes.
Savage.
Oh, wow.
I love it. I love it. So we're at the top of the hour now. Let me just give a quick recap for those that are just tuning in now, or they tuned in late. Maybe they missed some things. Again, I mean, this is amazing content, and some of the stuff you didn't even know. Like, you're like, oh, I don't know, and then you just say something like, that's a quote right there. Like, I don't know where that came from, and it was just brilliant stuff that came out. But I mean, just think, we started off this is the first part of a 3-part series of the evolution of high performance. And truly it is an evolution. It's continually gaining 1% and growing in whatever your area is, whatever it is. If it's sports, if it's business, there's always a way. You're either getting better or you're getting worse. So there's always a way to improve. And we've talked about the different things that, Olympic athletes and the Olympic mindset of athletes, you got to do all those, the physical training, you got to do the recovery, you got to do the nutrition, just to be like at the same level, because everybody's high performers at that level. And then that mental edge, that's what can separate you. That's what can take you to the top. And that's truly what I feel like we're on the cusp within high performance. That's the next step for those that don't know. The high performers already know that the power and the tools, and they're using the tools. But those that don't know, if you want to take your game, whatever that game is, to the next level, you got to get that mental edge. You got to get that mindset that puts you in the right process rather than the outcome focus. See, I'm tying in all these points all together. I'm trying to, at least. So I love it. It was amazing stuff. Dave, Coach Dave, do you have the review of the week ready to rock and roll?
I'm ready to roll, baby.
I don't know why there's a question mark at the end of it, but anyways.
Yeah. In order to become a champion, you must think like a champion. The principles of RESPA, which is part of the Beast training, as you know, were tools I used while competing for the gold medal at 3 different Olympics. In this training, the Beast training has hit a home run when it comes to teaching you how to become a beast in all areas of life. And that's by Leo O'Brien Omika, 3-time Olympic gold medalist and 3-time U.S. national champion.
That's a pretty heck of a review, especially in the theme of the mindset of an Olympian. That was a 3-time gold medalist, and talking about RESPA, that's pretty cool. That gets me, gives me chills. So I love it. So that's pretty much it. I just want to wrap up. I mean, I always give a recommendation, book of the month. I call it #boom. Book of the month is one by Lewis Howes, Mask of Masculinity. It was an unbelievable book talking about our masks that we wear and really just letting go of those masks to really open up into your true self. So with that, I mean, Aloha Friday, Megan. It's been an honor having you with us today. You dominated. You killed it today. You won. You got 1% better today. Just
awesome. I hope I helped you all get 1% better today.
Oh yeah, baby. I love it.
Like I say, we're always learning. I learned something today. Dave, did you learn anything today?
Amen. That's what I'll be a continuous student my whole life. That's what I get up in the morning. What am I going to learn something new today? I get excited with every little bit, and I did today. So thank you.
And I hope our audience, our viewers, you guys all learned something today. Give Megan a virtual high five. Gary we got a check from Gary. We got beast mode in here. We got a ton of people chiming in, and I love it. Thank you guys all for tuning in, all the viewers, and joining us today on Aloha Friday. Again, 2 more episodes for the year. Make sure you tune in and join us again, talking about the evolution of high performance. Part 2 will be next week. And we'll be live actually in Tampa from CEO Space. So it's going to be an interesting episode for sure. But Megan, awesome guest, awesome content. Love it. And good luck again to your continued success. And I cannot wait for Park City to go down on that track. I'm nervous though.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm going to need some core for sure going in.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine. If Dave can do it, you can do it.
All right, let's get a shaka. Give us your best Aloha shaka. There we go. All right. Thank you, everybody. Aloha. And we